everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsStamp.com with a project using some Prima products, and this is the Bird House. I absolutely adore this birdhouse. So it's metal and it has the really nice roof and it's already distressed and it's ready for your altering. The back cover is also a metal piece. I'm starting off with the Cartographer papers by Prima, and this is a really nice paper pad. It's got a lot of travel type themes in it, some dark papers and light papers, and these are perfect for altering and collaging because there's several sheets of each print. I've cut mine 2 3/4 inch wide, which is just the right size to fit on the inside. So what I'm doing now is just lining the inside of the birdhouse. When I cut this paper, I just kind of generally measured and it ended up where I was perfect to cut 2 3/4 inch, and I got 3 strips out of that whole sheet of paper, which fit perfectly inside the birdhouse, plus a little overlap. For the inside, I've picked up this picture from an antique store, and it's kind of a heavy cardboard. So what I am doing now is I'm just going to kind of score it from the back side, and I'm just going to go ahead and trace around that back panel here, and then I'll be doing some score marks. Instead of cutting, I want to do the scoring so that I'll have flaps. So using my T-ruler and my stylus, I'm just going to go ahead and press down a few times on my pencil marks to see if I can get this to score. I did try my scoreboard, but it is a bit too heavy, so it won't go through on the scoreboard. So right now I'm just going to flip this up, and this will give me a tab to set down into the birdhouse, and that will help me secure it in place. Next, I'll go ahead and score the other corners and get this ready to put in place. I've pulled out another piece of the Prima paper and I have traced onto the back side of the paper with that back panel, and I've trimmed that down, and now I'm just using my adhesive tape and I'm going to put this in place. And so this will sit right behind that picture, and I'll go ahead and press that down, and then I can flip it over. If I have any edges that I need to trim up, I can just do that with my scissors. Now I'm working on some of the inside pieces, and I had a piece of corrugated cardboard and I've just kind of torn it, and I've also folded the edges down so that I can glue those on the sides, and also another piece of the Prima paper. So those will sit in front of the picture, and here are some flowers that I've done some staining with, and I've used the dilution sprays, and these started off gray, but I wanted to add a little bit more rusty color, so I've used some of the new dilutions. These will all be listed in the supply list, but there's like a coffee color, a gray, and a black, and I just took these outside and gave them a spray in the box, and you can see how the color has quite changed, and you can still see the gray within the inside of the paper flower. I was really surprised how just a little spritz of color really changed the whole look. So this one was sprayed with the black, and it just gave me some speckles of black, and then I put another flower behind. So I'm going to start building up some of my layers using my flowers, and I also want to show you this really great twig branch, and this is also by Prima, and there's 4 in the pack, and I've just put 2 together. Also, I have a little word strip, and this is a little wooden banner, and I'll be putting that on top as well. To glue my flowers down, I'll be using the Helmar 450 Quick Dry, and this is a really nice permanent glue. And so what I'll do is just go ahead and put a little dab on here. You don't need much. It kind of likes to string out, so you'll see me kind of winding that bottle around a little bit. I also wanted to show you that I did wrap my little wires around my paintbrush and gave it a little curlicue on the end, which is a really nice touch. So I'll just go ahead and set the flower into that Helmar glue and hold it for a second. And this dries really quickly, and like I said, it's really nice and permanent. It doesn't really warp your paper as bad as wet like Elmer's glue or other types of glue. I've decided I also want to use some of the Tim Holtz film strip for this. And to start off, I'm just going to go ahead and cut off a strip. I like to put it back in that can because once you let go of this, it's wound up like a spring, so it's easy to work with it inside that can, and then that way you won't have a mess later. So I have a longer length than what I need, and I will be using my tiny attacher just to attach this to the side. And I've decided to do something different with the strip. A lot of the times I just make it go straight across the paper, but this time I'm going to give it a twist. and this will add a little more dimension to my project. So once I've decided where I want that to end, I'll make sure I have the curl in place, and I'll go ahead and staple the one end, and I'll end up putting another staple in the center just to hold it down just a bit flatter. Okay, at this point I've added a couple more flowers, and I've also put the corrugated together, and I've just added some staples at the sides so that this whole piece can be slid into my birdhouse. And again, I'm going to be using my Helmar quick dry glue, and I'm just going to put some glue on the very sides. And I'm sorry I'm off screen here, but once I have the glue, I'll go ahead and slide this into my birdhouse. I haven't put the back on it, so I have full capability of getting in there and moving things around, and unfortunately you do see just the top part of this right now, but I'll show you in a second. So I'm just putting my thumbs in there, and that piece is sitting right inside, and those folded edges are glued right to the sides. I have put some Helmar glue onto those tabs of my photograph and also a wooden clothespin, and I'm going to go ahead and just get this inside, get that clothespin inside. And once I have that in place, I'll go ahead and press those tabs down with my thumbs and make sure that it holds in place. I'm going to add a bird to the inside of my birdhouse, and I will be using the Dina Wakely stamp and also the Memento Rich Cocoa ink. And I'm going to speed up my coloring a little bit, but I'll go ahead and narrate through it. So I've picked out a bunch of my Copic markers that are in brown and gray tones. I will be listing these in the supply list on the blog post that goes to this video. And here I'm just kind of mixing colors together. I have no rhyme or reason as I'm coloring this bird. I just want to make sure that the body part is a little bit lighter and that I add dark around the bottom edges. So I've added a little bit of a darker brown, and now I'm going back in with a gray. And I'm picking out more of a putty color, so it has a little bit browner color that I'll add in and just kind of blend around. And like I said, I'm really not too particular about how this looks. I want it to kind of look a little bit antique. So just has some really nice tones of brown. Again, I'll be adding the darker colors to the underside of the belly, the underside of the wings, and then in that little tail area where it hits the body. And now I'm adding kind of a mid color in between those two colors. So again, I'm using like warm grays, browns, and I will be listing all these colors. After I was done coloring, I put some glue to the back of the legs, and I put my bird inside, and here is the front panel piece. I've added some flowers and also that little banner to the top. And I'll be using my Helmar glue again, and I only need to glue this in a couple spots to where it hits that front metal piece. So I'll just go ahead and give a little dab of glue on each side. This glue is a little thick, but I absolutely love it, especially for projects like this where you want it to be a little more permanent. So once I have my glue down, I can go ahead and just press this front piece in place, and I'm done. Here is another look at my finished piece. I really like how the flowers turned out with a little bit of extra dilution spray and all the little twigs and my bird, of course. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.